So this is from Matt Mendo over on Twitch, who asked, "Have I ever had a moment where I feel burned out, or on gaming or anything like that?" Because they mentioned they kind of want to start streaming, but don't want to feel burned out of playing games. So I would say Co Carnage has some good stuff to say about this that I have always listened to. But before I can talk about what his point of view is, I need to talk about the reality of understanding what it takes to get to a level that many people want to get to. So you have to establish first and foremost what would be your goal for starting streaming, Matt Mendo. Because if your goal for streaming is just to share your personal journey into gaming, then you don't have to worry about the burnout thing because you'll just do it when you feel like it. And you'll play the games that you want to play, and you're not worried about the numbers, and you're not worried about any of that stuff. You're just kind of putting your stuff out there for people to find naturally. But if you're wanting to make this a career, or you want this to be a business, or you want to, if you have dreams and aspirations of becoming a full-time content creator and full-time streamer, and you want to quit your day job and all this other stuff, that's a different type of thing all in itself. And the burnout can be very real if you don't know how to manage it. So the fun factor needs to be the number one most important thing at all times. But if you're going to be doing this to try to make a living at it, you have to focus on numbers, period. You don't have the luxury of ignoring numbers. However, before you get to the point where you're going to worry about numbers, you have to build a base platform. And that base platform is just you playing the games that you're going to have the most fun playing and putting that content out there in the universe, whether it be in the form of uploaded videos or streams. Pick the games that you love, play those games, showcase the love that you have for those games, and that passion can come through into the people who are watching your stream. However, the hardest part is the first 2 to 3 years if you're trying to do this to turn it into something. Because the first 2 to 3 years, no one's going to watch your shit. You're going to have 2 viewers. You might have 1 viewer. You might have no viewers. And you have to learn how to talk to an empty crowd, to an empty room, even though there might not be anybody there. And you have to get past the mental block of worrying about whether or not there are people watching you. Once you have the foundation in place, I would say, if you're 6 months in and you're still having fun, that's a good sign. If you've made it to a year and you're still having fun, great. If you get a year into it and you're starting to waver and you're starting to feel the burnout, that's when you know that it might not be something for you, which is why it's important to understand those things right out of the gate. Fun needs to be the driving factor for everything you do, because if you're not having fun, it will show through on a stream. That's why at the beginning of the stream, I was going to go do the weekly mission. And what happened? We got 50 minutes in, 45 minutes in, and I was getting very frustrated because I didn't have the building mechanic, the building components to do that. And so I stopped having fun 45 minutes into the stream. What did we do? We pivoted. Let's go do a tour of the planet. I don't need to sit there and grind that shit. I don't want to. I want to go do this other thing instead. So the fun is the priority, so that I'm doing something on stream that is fun for me, which allows me to have fun with the audience. No one wants to watch me fail or get grumpy because I'm doing something that I'm failing at, or that I'm sucking at, or that I'm not having fun doing. So your fun has to be the number one factor. You are going to get to a point where numbers become the other intersecting factor with fun, which is the point where I'm at, which is I make enough money to pay my bills, but I obviously would like to grow the brand because Chris and I have other goals. This is my retirement money, is what this is. This is my pension. So how do I achieve growth while also having fun? And that's when you have to start getting into the analytics of things and analyzing what games am I going to want to play that I think are going to resonate with my audience and give me growth. Not everything is going to work. Sometimes you're going to throw things at the wall and it's not going to stick. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was a miss for me. I bought that game, hoped it was going to do well. I got into that game. I wasn't having fun because of the mini games. were driving me nuts, and the audience could pick up on that, and the stream numbers just weren't good. And so I just abandoned that playthrough and I moved on to something else. And this is the advice from Carnage that I took to heart this year and I started implementing maybe about 6 months ago, which was separate from my own journey, but I thought the advice was very good. In the first 2 years of me doing this for a living, I very much had the mentality of, because I'm building content and layers and everything else, and I'm gonna push and do the things that I have planned to do all the way through to the end, even if that means I might have a few episodes in there where I'm not having fun. I don't think that everyone should do that. I'm okay doing that from time to time, but once I hit a certain number where I was able to see that I was clearing the income requirements that I had in place to pay my bills, once I reached that point, that allowed me the flexibility of saying, now I can kind of not take the foot off the gas, but now I can say, okay, if I'm not having fun with that, let's just go ahead and drop that, move on to something else. Because Carnage's advice, because someone asked him that exact question, and he's got it up on a YouTube short / TikTok video about the burnout. I'm paraphrasing here, but it's something along the lines of, he will only play games on stream that he's having fun with. And if he's not having fun, he just abandons the playthrough, which is fine for the people who are watching him on Twitch, because he only streams on Twitch. And then he cuts the videos and ports them out to YouTube. But he acknowledges that it sucks for the viewers on YouTube, because they might get 10 or 12 episodes into a Let's Play series only to find Carnage abandoning the Let's Play series. But it's because the fun factor's not there. And I still am conscious enough about the numbers, and I've been very open with this with people over the last few months. when I see this, when I have, for me, my level where I'm at with the channel right now, Starfield, No Man's Sky, games that we're doing well in, we're getting 65 to 75 viewers across YouTube and Twitch on the multi-streams. Right now we're at 57. I think we were at 68 earlier. So it just fluctuates. People drop in, people drop out. That's a good number for my stream where it's at. New releases will be up around 100 sometimes. It's great. Obviously, I'd love those numbers to be higher, but that's just time. I'm at the point where I no longer will stream a game. There's one exception to this, which I'll talk about in a minute. I will no longer continue streaming. Whatever it is that I'm streaming, I will no longer continue streaming if I'm getting less than 35 people between two streams. And that number is going to raise to probably 50 in 2025. So if I'm not getting at least 50 people on a stream, I won't stream. I won't continue to stream that game, because I do need certain numbers to be there in certain demographics, but that's because I have specific goals in mind which are not relevant to other people or other streamers. Those are my goals, my numbers, etc. But the fun factor has to be there for me to even consider streaming a game in the first place. And then the other factor is, am I having fun, and is the audience having fun watching me play this game? And is there an audience for that, for me to play it? Because I will feed, this is an emotional thing, I'm like any other human being. I will feed off of interaction in the chat as much as any other person does. As much as the viewer will feed off of my energy, I will feed off of the energy from the stream. When there's more people, you're more motivated, there's more chat, everybody's up. The energy levels are high, the adrenaline is there. It's like being on stage in front of 100 people. You're not getting tired, you're not taking a nap when you're on stage in front of 100 people. You're giving a presentation. Your blood is up, you're in that flow. Those are all fun factors. Those are all things to consider. That being said, I mean, the reality of this is that it's probably, I would argue, less than 5%. And this is not just gaming, by the way. This is going back to my day job before this, which was as a brand advisor and consultant, helping to build brands in the travel space, helping to build companies, marketing their social media. It's like less than 5% of people who start out to do something actually succeed at it. And the number of people who have extraordinary success is like in the 1 percentile out of that 5%. who go on to do it. So for every 100 people who attempt to start streaming, there's only about 5 of them who will continue to stream past the 2 or 3 year mark, because they'll get to the end of 2 years or whatever and say, I'm tired, I'm not making enough money, I'm not seeing the growth that I want, I'm no longer having fun. They're off to the other thing. I think the other thing that's very important for me, and this is just a personal thing, is the way that I play games is very structured, it's very organized, and I have fun, but I'm very, very structured. We did an episode on this a couple weeks back. So I have my schedule. I'm 6 months ahead of things with what I'm going to be playing. In between there, I have space for indie releases and things that crop up. Maybe I do a first impressions video that gets 50,000 views, and I go, oh, I should play that game for 2 weeks. That's what No Man's Sky was. No Man's Sky was a first impressions video that I threw at the wall. That first video I did like 15,000 views, and I went, oh, I had fun with this. I should definitely play more of this because it seems like the audience is reacting well. You know, I had fun with it. Let's dive deeper. Whereas like I did Frostpunk 2 the other day, it was okay. You know, we had like 30 people watching the stream when I did Frostpunk 2. Put it out, and it sputtered and only did like 300 views on the first impressions video. Maybe it's up to 500 by now. It didn't get a lot of views, and so I said, I didn't have that much fun playing it anyway. The audience didn't react to it. Move on to the next. We'll do the next first impressions video in between other things, and I don't let it bother me. We did a single playthrough, and we're off to the next. So having a schedule helps a little bit. It's like, I like playing this game, let's play more of it. Now, there is an exception to this. Programmer says the highest 5% all have a so-called unique selling point as well. The originality of the content, which can keep the viewers engaged. That is an important factor. Some would call that the entertainment factor. Are you an entertaining person to watch? There was someone I came across on YouTube, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago, and he had like 70,000 followers. And he made a rant video about having 70,000 followers and no one was watching his stuff, no one was tuning into his live streams, and he basically berated his audience for like 30 minutes in a YouTube video about how they sucked for not supporting him. And he shared his analytics, and he was only making like $150 or something like that per month on his YouTube channel with 70,000 followers. And I went, that's like, if you don't need the money, that's one thing. But if you're trying to build it into a brand and you're 7 years in, he said he was 7 years in with 70,000 followers, and he was only making $150 a month. Well, then I went and watched his content, and I went, I understand why you're not making any money. Like, the content was really, really bad. He made no attempt at doing anything professional. He was not engaging. He was not entertaining. Something was not clicking. And he had never taken the time to figure out what he was doing wrong to improve his stream. So that's where the numbers come in. Like, you'll know in the first year what's working for your audience. What's your, because the big thing is you just have to throw stuff at the wall. Whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. And by the way, you must do Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all those things around your primary stream. You need to be making shorts content, cutting that up and spitting it out into the algorithm. It is a job if you want people to be tuning in. All of those platforms, the objective is to saturate so that your name and face is fucking everywhere. Because if you don't do that, someone else is. And if you're not the face that's drawing people in, someone else will. So you have to be out there, and you have to be able to be, if not entertaining, at least coming across in a way that is original enough to bring people in and make them want to watch your stream versus someone else's stream. And that is just establishing your brand identity, and that is extremely hard to do. It is extremely hard to cut through the noise in this crowded market. So that 5% that Programmers was mentioning. Himulator says the current most subscribed person on Twitch only started getting more than 50 viewers after 3 years. Correct. Most of, if not all of the brands I've worked with have taken about 3 years to get off the ground. Almost every, I would argue that I would have to go back and look at all my paperwork, but pretty much every single brand I've ever worked with over the years takes about 3 years to get to the point where it can start, being sustainable and doing things. So how do you keep yourself from burning out? The first 3 years is the most important component, because if you can make it past 3 years, you're going to be fucking fine. Like, you'll be fine. But those first years are rough because you're probably not going to be making any money. You're probably not going to have any views. But the, you're supposed to be learning. You're supposed to be figuring out, improving your presentation, improving your setup. I didn't use a capture card until last year, at Christmas time. First 2 years of me streaming, I didn't use a capture card. I just had an Xbox. I streamed to Xbox Play on my PC and captured that window, which means it rendered it at a much lower resolution on the stream. Didn't matter. It still was growth, and it helped me build up. So you don't need a ton of hardware. It's just time, grit, and everything else. Correct. You have to be able to get over the disheartening aspect of not getting any viewers. But you also have to be conscious of why are you not getting any viewers? Is it the games you're playing? Is it the fact that you're not doing social media? You're not doing your YouTube shorts? You're not doing your other things? Is there too much background audio? Are you being too silent? The silent thing is a big thing for a lot of people. You have to be willing to talk into the void. So what I learned, and I have a frog in my throat this morning, guys, so I keep clearing my throat. I apologize. This is going to sound corny, but this is how it worked for me. Years ago, HBO used to air a show. I cannot remember what it was called. This is probably early 2000s. There used to be a documentary show on HBO where they followed the corn industry. And they showed the ins and outs of working in the corn industry. And I can't remember the name of the show. But one of the things I remember that stuck with me is one of the actresses, they asked her how she came up with her dialogue for her scenes. And she said, I just narrate what's going on in a sexy voice. And I was like, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. And so I literally carried that advice over into when I was thinking about how can I remind myself to always talk while I'm playing games, even if there's no viewers. And her voice popped in my head and was like, just narrate what's going on, baby. And it's like, if it works for a corn star, it can work for me on YouTube. Correct, you're just verbalizing your mental processes. That's the easiest way to just talk into the void. You don't have to be talking to anybody, you're just talking about something, the stuff you're doing. And then eventually that converts into someone asks you a question. And then you answer that question. And then you have more people who start showing up. And over time that grows. And there's ups and downs. I was playing Warhammer 40k Space Marine when it came out. We talked about this last week or the other day. I got down, we finished the story, and the viewership dropped down. At one point I had like 12 people, and I was just like, let's move on to the next game. No one's having fun with this anymore. We went and played something else. We were back up to 65 plus people. Chantel says you should write a book or do a video. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff behind closed doors for our YouTube members. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. That's why you join as a member of YouTube, is I do a lot of analytics discussions, income reports, channel growth, how things are going on YouTube and Twitch, how I do the things I'm doing. All that kind of stuff is over on YouTube. I will probably never write a book about it because I've already written like 20 million words. I don't write nothing anymore unless it's fantasy and sci-fi. So I don't mind chatting about it from time to time because it's great to cut these out as little pieces of content. But I'd make a lot of content and I have a lot of content already stockpiled on YouTube talking about this kind of stuff for sure. So that's a plug for anyone who wants to go join the YouTube memberships.